Hey guys, welcome to the next video, right? In this video, we'll be discussing about or we'll kind of understand the background or of the entire backend development and also how Node.js works and how Node.js is executed or what are the different styles of program execution and how Node.js stands out among them or how Node.js differentiates from other programming languages, right? So we'll try to demystify the entire Node.js, and I have segregated or I have made it into a steps which will lay a very clear path for you to understand Node.js and get then later you can get started with Node.js. So as I said, that why Node.js or what are the different underlying concepts of Node.js, what is Node.js, you need to understand all of that. In that process, first we'll see what are the different components included in backend development. So it will be a very good intro to all the people who don't understand what is backend development and how does it differentiate with the front-end development, right? Then we'll see what is Node.js, we'll understand what is Node.js and how it was built, who built it, and stuff like that, right? Then we'll move on to the different types of program execution. This is very important because this is what you try to segregate, or you want to look things in a different way from this point of view. Because how do you want to execute your program? When you're building a language or when you're writing a program, you want to know, right, what function is called after another function. All of these, execution or of, I would say, from step 1 to step 10, how the direction is being flowed. Like, let's say I want to go from here to some place B. What are the different parts and which can be faster, which can be more reliable, right? So we'll understand different types of program execution like synchronous, asynchronous, concurrency, parallelism, right? Then we'll see or we'll deep dive into the architecture of Node.js, how Node.js was built, what are the different components included, and how they interact with each other so that a well-versed backend technology is ready for us, right? Then we'll see multi-threaded versus Node.js. It's always a good question to ask yourself that when Node.js is a single-threaded, how it competes or how it is dominant in a multi-threaded environment. So how things look differently in a multi-threaded language and in a single-threaded language like Node.js. So we'll see or we'll deep dive into that, right? Then we'll go and understand what are the uses or why I have to use Node.js. It's like a summary of what all we have learned and what Node.js can actually give, and it making us our decision clean. I'm not saying Node.js is going to be one-stop solution for everything, but when to use Node.js, when it will be a right choice to pick Java, Node.js over Java or Node.js over Python, and what are the different features which you get bundled with the Node.js. We'll see everything in that aspect, and yes, let's get started with that. Now, let's understand various components which are present in the backend development, right? So what is, first of all, let's see what is a backend development and what is a front-end development, right? So basically, when you build a complete application, whatever is visible to you is going to be called as front-end because it is in front of you. And whatever happens behind the scenes, like when you open an Android application or a website, you click some button and you get the new data, right? How is that all happening? It is happening behind the scenes. That part of application where you are fetching the data, you are storing the data, and all of these which are not visible to the human eye or it is not happening in front of us is going to be called as backend development, right? So in backend also, it is just not about writing web applications or Android applications or iOS applications. It can be an algorithm processing, and it can be a data processing, it can be a data analysis, it can be designing a backend servers. How do servers interact? Because just imagine Facebook. Now the same person can access the website in different locations, and how you can design your system or how you can place your different computers at a different place or servers at different place so that the data travels faster, right? So all of these enhancements and whatever things, I mean, you want everything in a million or in a fraction of seconds, right? So all of the design and everything goes or becomes the part of backend development, and how you want the user experience to be, how you want user to see an error message, how you want user to take actions, like when you take Instagram, even Instagram allows you to like or share a picture even when there is no internet connection. It means it is storing our data, and even when there is no connection, and once the internet gets back, it is doing something, right? So that part of the application development goes in the front end, and the backend is something which is not visible to you and which is kind of critical. I would say both go hand in hand. With now OTTs coming into the picture, you see handling large amounts of data on Netflix and all, how smooth the application should be. So both are equally challenging. It's debatable, but yeah, I like both. Um, yes. So what are the different elements or different components? So if you see, backend is not just writing some code and executing it. That's not backend. You need to understand what is backend development and what are the different components included in it, right? So if you don't know how to, I mean, what are the different things in a bike do, like what does a clutch do, and what does an accelerator do, and what does a brake do, and when to put what. If you don't know this, you cannot ride a bike very well. Maybe if you just know that this has to be, this has to do like this, that, then you can drive bike, you cannot drive it well, right? And you cannot enjoy it. The same thing I believe, like if you don't know the entire system, how, where, and what it is working on, then you cannot enjoy what you're doing, right? So for that purpose, we'll discuss each of the elements, what backend deals with, and where you want to be. Or I mean, I will definitely say you will be somewhere interacting with every part of this component in your backend development process, right? So first, the servers, right? Servers are the place, or I can simply say servers are the computers where your application runs, where your code runs, or where, I mean, obviously you are writing a code, you are executing it. So when I'm opening a website, I am clicking on some button, uh, the data is coming from somewhere. It means that particular code is being executed in a place, right? So that is called as server, is a place where your code is being executed, right? And the databases are those applications or those softwares which store the data. So ultimately any company does, or any company's goal is to collect a lot of data and analyze that data. Like let's say YouTube analyzes our behavior and displays ads which are relevant to us, because you cannot show an advertisement of Nike to a 90-year-old man, right? If he's on YouTube, maybe he's so strong, he's alive by that. So analyzing your data gives you some more advantage to understand user, and you can show the advertisements, and also you can sell your product. All of those, any company sells something, right? So database is where you store all your data, and how you store data, again, it's a typical thing which goes into the database, right? Then we'll see security, like you, every now and then you hear Facebook has security breach, your application has security breach, please do this and try to secure application. Why? Because let's say you're doing some payment and you're entering your card details, right? What if the details are publicly available? I can use your credit card information. Like I'm a payment gateway company, you are entering details in your from your system, I can easily track them, and why cannot I purchase using your credit card, right? So security also matters, not just for the application but also for the one who is using your application. So you cannot say that my application is not secure, please use. They will check, every people will check if your application is secure, and there are companies which issue security certificates. So even that part, how you want to make your application secure, and how do you check that is your application secure or not, and how do you avoid data breaches, all that goes again in security. It's called as cyber security, right? So that's totally a different part of journey again. But I'm not saying uh, you have to learn everything in detail, but knowing them is good, because every now and then you should keep all of these points in mind when you're writing a code, how you're storing the data. Though you're not dealing with the databases and everything, you have to know that, right? And APIs. So you just can't store the data, or store the data and do what, right? You have to share your data. You have to interact with other applications. That is called as API. API is nothing but application interface, right? It's an interface to exchange data between different servers or front-end server or anything. It's just interface wherein you can share. It's an interface where you can exchange data, so that is also very important. And again, when you expose your data to be shared to someone, you have to, let's say, flight booking engines, right? They have flights with them, and if they are not exposing that APIs in different book my show, or not book my show, make my trip, yatra.com, all of these stuff, how can they sell their tickets? So they have to say that these seats are available and these seats are not available. And how do you exchange the data? Through APIs. So that's what APIs is. And again, there comes how to secure your APIs, what are the different authentication mechanism and everything, right? Then goes the business logic. Some you say that you see in Amazon, like if you place an order around 500, then your order is free delivery. So every business has its own logic. Different types of logics are there, like maybe in giving rewards to the user, maybe in collecting data from the user, and maybe after collecting the data, you have to process. Like every application has its own business logic. Whatever business you are doing, that logic, when you're booking maybe a PlayStation or anything, so there is certain logic which has to deal with it, and then only your application goes. Now where you are placing this logic again depends on what type of application it is, but it comes, the business logic is always on the backend side, and it can be in database, it can be in server, it can be in middleware, wherever it is, right? So business logic is one core thing which drives your backend application, and it is the one which determines the behavior of your application, right? Then you have operating system. So I built a software and I built it only for Windows, and what's the point now? Whatever guys who are using on Linux and Mac, they're gone, right? So operating systems also matter, where your application is running and where do you want your application to run, and how you can make it a platform or operating system agnostic. It means you have to build your application for different operating systems, like you have right now Windows, Mac OS, and then we have Linux or Ubuntu or Red Hat, whatever, right? So operating systems also really matter, and I personally believe Unix based, that is Linux or Mac OS, are very good for backend programming. Windows is not a program, an operating system wherein you can develop applications. Windows is good to use a developed application. Let me repeat. Windows is not good for developing applications, but Windows is good for using the developed applications, right? So operating system also plays very crucial role, because if your application doesn't run in any other operating system, then it's going for a toss, right? Then comes the scalability, right? So scalability means how far your application can grow, imagining that and making it scalable. Like let's say when I started my business of some restaurant, I just imagined that my business could grow, come, daily 1,000 people will come. Now the business has grown pretty large, and if I'm still maintaining the same seating capacity, that 1,000 people, then remaining 2,000 or 3,000 who are waiting, they're gone. So how you can scale your businesses, how you can increase the audience to your business, that part also relies on the backend. Without even disturbing or without even audience knowing that the, there is a full, the business is not scaled, or you're not open for new customers, you shouldn't stop the customers, right? So maybe you are building a new floor on the top, or maybe you're opening a new branch, or maybe whatever. So all that scalability issues also deals on the backend side. We have different types of scalabilities. Horizontal scalability, it means when your application, when your traffic increases on an application, maybe you can add multiple systems. Like let's say I have a 8 GB RAM device with me. So I can add more 8 GB RAM and I can divide the traffic in between, like I opened up a new floor. Or maybe you run the same application in different instances or something of that sort, or maybe you're dividing your process into time slots by giving them tokens or whatever it is. So that there are different ways of scalabilities, right? And frameworks, obviously, whatever programming language or whatever you are choosing, you need some strict guidelines or strict rules which you need to follow, and that can be easily derived by the framework. Framework is nothing but a set of rules which are given to you so that you will be able to write your application logic like business logic and stuff like that, and that will help you write a very good backend application which will eventually be a good help to you, right? Then we have the data analysis. Like I said, once you collect the data, you have to analyze that data for whatsoever reason, maybe uh, attracting that customer again and again for second sale. I mean, when if the customer comes in, he has to come again, right? Maybe we are sending an SMS, we are sending an email. Like if you see, people do notifications and all stuff like that. So data analysis is very important, and that's where the big data analysis come in, and all of these crazy concepts come into picture. But point is, they all come under the backend development, right? And last but not the least, the architecture or system design. So you might be hearing this a lot: system design course, system design course. So you have all of these components in this. So it's nothing but, I would see this in this fashion: a building. I'm building a building, okay? And how do I architect it? Like, let's say I want a door open to be from this room to this room, but that door is not possible over there because of my some other problem, right? It means if you don't have a good foundation and a good architecture to your building, then that building is going to be in trouble throughout the existence, right? So how do you design a system which includes all of this? Now a building includes pillars, slab, then rooms, and then separators. Then you have different electricity, then you have water supply, then you have plumbing. All of these needs to be well architected, and that's when a good house is made, right? In the same fashion, even your backend application should be very well architected, and that's where the chief architect comes into picture, who knows all of these stuff and who knows how to place around with all of these stuff. And that's what your system design interview is gonna be, because they'll verify you how you can flow the data in between, how you write the logic, what are the different frameworks you are going to use, how do you make your application scalable, how do you make your platform or operating system agnostic, and how do you ensure security, how do you expose your APIs, what are the different technologies used in it, how do you transport your data, how do you deal with your servers. All of this comes in architecture or system design, and that's where every backend developer aims to be or wishes to be at an architect level, right? So this is all about the backend development and how it is done, right? Now let's narrow down our thinking to the Node.js and a better understanding of the Node.js, right? So let's see, or let's understand more about Node.js.